Good morning. It is Thursday, November 7th, 2019. We are coming to you live from a box truck in Tampa Bay, Florida. We have a good one today. I made a couple of lists. Yes, these talk shows love making lists. Last night, I grabbed some vitamins. I dove deep into the annals of the internet, looked up some stats and facts, and made some lists. Potential MVP candidates in the NFL. Potential coaching of the year candidates in the NFL. We got Bud Dupree at 10:30. We got Matt Hasselbeck in the second hour. The show that nobody listens to keeps growing and going. If you're watching on DAZN, we appreciate you. Watching on YouTube, we appreciate you. If you're listening on your radio through Westwood One Station, wherever you may be, you're the absolute greatest. Let's have the best Thursday in the history of Thursdays. Evan Foxy, play some Chase Rice.
It's the perfect occasion for a little vacation from the heart of the nation. Not your medication, 2 hours of magic. Let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you joining me in the back of this box truck in the middle of a parking lot in Tampa Bay, Florida. At Nick Morato's here. Nick, how are you doing?
Not as good as yesterday, man. I told you I love Florida. Being here, the allergies got me. My face is starting to swell up.
Yeah,
I feel
me
it.
too. My face is getting a little swollen as well. Those types of things are going to happen, but the weather is nice. It's a lot better than it is in Indianapolis right now. I guess there's freezing rain back home.
Yikes.
So let's suck down, bong, and shotgun the sun as much as we can. At Viva La Zito is here. Any Zito facts today?
We got 3 of them.
Attaboy, I like that. Like to learn new things. At Evan Foxy's here, rubbing his hands into the microphone. How's it going?
Yes, sir. Just warming up the hot takes for the day.
Good attaboy. Takeville is going to be alive and well. At Ty Schmidt, what's going on?
Doing pretty good. I got about 16 hours of sleep yesterday, so I'm feeling great.
That's right. That is right. Yesterday down in Tampa, we got a chance to eat our best meal that we've had, I think, thus far. We went to a place called Ocean Prime, which is right next to our hotel here. The GM and the chef are big fans of the show, so they took care of us. They gave us all the fixings, and it was magical. And then I took some NyQuil and some Theraflu, went into a coma, and boy, I feel like a whole new man. But before I went to bed, just like I said in the open, I said, listen, I hear all these people making these lists. And there's a lot of the same names on there on these lists, but this is like something the talking heads do is they make these lists and make people know this is who we think should be happening. And now that I am officially a talking head, I made a list of who I think should be in the conversation for the MVP. Now, granted, there's a lot of football left. A lot of football left. These players have just worked their way into the conversation 9 weeks into this thing. Being an NFL MVP is a massive honor. It is very difficult to get. That honor show is basically all revolving around the NFL MVP. You can get whatever host you want up there, do whatever little song and dance. It's all probably pretty boring. They'll give out all the other awards, but the award that matters the most is the NFL MVP. And I think there are 7 potential NFL MVPs at this point. There's over 1,000 people in the NFL. These 7 guys have worked their way into a conversation, I think. It's a quarterback-driven award. But could this be the year that somebody that isn't a quarterback wins it? I think there's a couple candidates. First, let's go with the pies on Nick Boza out there in San Francisco, in the Bay. Yes, his grandpa was a mob boss. Yes, his brother is an animal for the Chargers. Yes to all these things. Yes, he sat out his senior year at Ohio State because he got injured and somehow became a monster. Let me give you a little facts and stats to back this up. Last year, they were 28th in points allowed. This year, they're 2nd. Okay? I'm sure there's been other characters that have been dropped into that San Francisco 49er defense that have helped us out, but I think the most notable is this rookie kid from Ohio State who has ties to the mob, who's been a made manimal on the line. Sherman's back playing very well, but I would assume that's because he knows that there's a defensive line up there that's going to get to the quarterback. There's a defensive line up there that's going to disrupt things, and that's not easy for a defensive lineman to be a leader of a team. Boza, a rookie, has done that, and I think he should be in conversation, especially because the Niners are undefeated. Regardless of who they played, next to nobody, regardless of who they've played, they have been dominant, and they've been a fun team to watch defensively. They get a big-time task on Monday night. We'll talk about somebody that they'll be facing here in a little bit in this list as it continues. This is no particular order, by the way. These are just candidates I think have played their way into this conversation. Christian McCaffrey, this dude. Cam Newton's team down there in the Queen City, I believe they call it. They don't have downtown, they have uptown. Charlotte's a good time. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has some bars down there. I've got a chance to stay down there. They got NASCAR down there. But that was Cam Newton City. Michael Jordan owns a team, but it was Cam Newton City for a long time. Carolina Panthers were a hell of a team to watch. Cam Newton was skipping and dancing in a maestro to celebrate the entire stadium whenever they would score. The Superman song would play. Bang, Von Miller strips the ball from him in the Super Bowl. He doesn't go for it. All of a sudden, Cam Newton becomes an entirely new player. Seems like he lost his love for the game. I'm not saying he has. It's just saying what it looks like from the outside. I used to love watching Cam Newton play football. I used to love watching Cam Newton warm up. But those days are long gone now for the Carolina Panthers. Insert Kyle Allen at quarterback, which means insert Christian McCaffrey being the workhorse for the Carolina Panthers. He's on pace for 440 total touches. For those that don't know, that is an assload of touches. That is a workhorse type operation, and if anybody was built for this, created for this, I would argue that it's Christian McCaffrey. Dad, obviously, Ed McCaffrey. Mom, superstar soccer player at Stanford. Grandpa, Olympic gold medalist or something like that. His aunt and uncle, D1 college basketball players. I mean, Christian McCaffrey has been built to be an athlete literally since before birth. But now his body's going to have to withhold it. He has 1,244 total yards from scrimmage, 13 touchdowns, and he's on pace to not just beat Chris Johnson's yards from scrimmage record that nobody thought could be touched, but by beating it by 200 yards if he can keep this up. 2,509 yards is the all-time leading record by Chris Johnson for yards from scrimmage. He is on pace to shatter that by 200 yards. Can his body hold up? Can the Carolina Panthers continue to run through Christian McCaffrey? Will Christian McCaffrey be able to continue to make plays, be elusive and explosive at the same time for the rest of the season? We will find out. If he does, and he does beat that Chris Johnson record, this NFL MVP trophy, which is a quarterback-driven trophy, maybe has to take a backseat to a running back that is taking over games. Carolina Panthers were dead, by the way.
Yeah.
Dead in the water. And Kyle Allen comes in, this attractive kid from Stanford, starts getting the rock, and wham, we got a workhorse all of a sudden. Now let's get to the quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett. Yes, nobody else has him on their list. Yes, this was supposed to be a 6-person list originally. We made it a 7-person list just so I can give love to Jacoby Brissett. 1,649 yards, 14 touchdowns, and a 99.7 rating. That's not out of 100, but damn, I wish it was, because it would be almost perfect. Yes, he got injured in his last game. He's getting his knee back healthy. I don't know if he'll be playing next week, but this guy put CPR to the Indianapolis Colts. 16 days before the season started, a once-in-a-generation quarterback retired via an Adam Schefter tweet. The city was lost. But then the city was found by a man named Jacoby, a once member of the Wolfpack in New England, now coming to Indy to be a savior, having a hell of a year, one of the better young quarterbacks in the NFL. Nobody's talking about him. I will make sure his name will be mentioned because he deserves a lot more respect. The Colts got a good one in Jacoby. I think he's going to be good for a long time. And if he can come back and save the day after Hoy Daddy, I think Jacoby should be in the conversation. And he's a quarterback, so that means it will definitely happen. In the AFC South, another quarterback has been nothing short of magical. Deshaun Watson thought he lost his damn eye. Thought he lost his eye in a game. Got a boot to the face. Donkey kick right to the eyeball. Then threw a touchdown on the same play. He thought he lost an eye. I'll put Deshaun Watson in the MVP conversation for sure. 2,432 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, 70% completion rate. When he came out of college, Dabo Swinney said, if you don't pick this guy, you're not picking Michael Jordan. I said, take it easy, Dabo. Okay? Michael Jordan. What's that even mean? And this last couple weeks, I was like, damn, Dabo Swinney was coaching Michael Jordan down there in Clemson. He's been magic out there. He's the only quarterback since 1950. That's a long time, man.
Long time.
69 years. Nice. To have 18 tutters passing and 5 rushing through the first 9 weeks. They lose J.J. Watt on the defensive side of the ball, so they're going to have to be good on the offensive side of the ball. Deshaun Watson has gotten very good. Laramie Tunzel comes back for them, too. Let's hope they get a little bit more protection for the guy so he doesn't lose his eyeball. And he plugged Popeye's Spicy Chicken Sandwich, which is next level thinking for me. That made me raise my level of respect for him almost tenfold. The ability to have the composure in a moment after a big-time game in London town where everything's different anyways, to also remember to plug Popeyes. That's an MVP-like person that I want to be around. I like that Deshaun Watson is coming full circle for the Houston Texans. Hate it for the Colts. Happy I'm not on the team anymore to have to face against that. But, boy, the Texans should feel good about them and Deshaun Watson. So hopefully he can stay healthy, though. Not only did he think he'd lose an eye, he had a knee. I mean, he gets his ass kicked down there. But that's kind of his style of play. Now you see me, now you don't. Every once in a while you do see him, and boom, you get blown up. Deshaun Watson, I like him a lot. Lamar Jackson. This guy has changed football. He's changing the NFL. Is Lamar Jackson the future of the NFL, people are asking? I said this on Get Up. In the future, if another Lamar Jackson comes through as a college quarterback, best player in college, Heisman winner, takes a team that wasn't that talented in Louisville and takes them to places they couldn't expect to go, then whenever on draft night you have a chance to draft a guy like Lamar Jackson, let's pull the trigger and draft Lamar Jackson. Will another Lamar Jackson happen ever again? No, I don't think so. This guy is shattering Michael Vick's records at a rapid rate. The first to do this, the first to do this, the best since this. That is what Lamar Jackson is. He's lightning in a bottle. He's electric, magnetic, nuclear, some would say, when he has the football in his hands. And on draft night, when he was drafted 32 behind, this is who he was drafted behind, by the way. These people got drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. Just like we talk about this with Trubisky, who will never be on an MVP candidate list.
Come on.
Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes drafted after Mitchell Trubisky. These people were drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. Baker Mayfield. Okay, we don't know about him yet. Let's take it easy. Sam Darnold, dude sees ghosts. Said ghost that a lot of teams are seeing is Lamar Jackson, by the way. So there's a little bit of a difference in the ghost world. Josh Allen and Josh Rosen all drafted ahead of Lamar Jackson. And on draft night, Lamar Jackson, when Deion Sanders said, "You okay?" He said, "Yeah, I'm okay." And you're like, what's Baltimore going to get out of you? He said, "They're going to get it all from me, and they're going to get a Super Bowl out of me." Lamar Jackson knew what was going to happen. Harbaugh, to his credit, went all in on Lamar Jackson, changed their offense, brought in more tight ends, got rid of the Flacco. I love the way Lamar Jackson's playing football. He's fun to watch, but it all revolves around whether or not Lamar Jackson's going to be able to stay healthy. And I think he's sick of answering that question. I think he's sick of having to say, listen, I know how not to take big hits. I've been doing this my whole life. If I'm going to take a hit, I'm going to deliver the hit instead of take it on the other side. I'm excited to see what Lamar Jackson can do the rest of the year. Aaron Rodgers. Best friend of the show. He was on the other day. Seems like he's enjoying life again. Seems like he's happy to be a Green Bay Packer again. They had a snowball fight just yesterday at practice where one of the most gifted arms in the history of arms was picking up a snowball and flailing it at his coach and at his friends on the team. He had to learn an entirely new offense. It revamped him, refreshed him, birthed him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good little run there.
Strong.
2,485 yards, 17 touchdowns, a 104.4 rating. Granted, the Chargers game, not great for the offense, but he said this was a nice little piece of humble pie. Let us get back on the right track. He and LaFleur seem to be getting things in sync, and that offense is not only one that he's starting to understand and comprehend, but he's starting to dominate with. Let's assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to be in the conversation for MVP, as he should, if they can get back on track after this Chargers loss, which he thinks that they will be able to do. He likes the way the team has responded. They're 7-2. I'm happy to see a reborn Aaron Rodgers. I got a chance to call their game Lions at Packers last year. They lost 31-0. Now that's a completely different team. LaFleur has brought a lot of life in there. We'll talk about him being a potential Coach of the Year candidate later. And my guy, who everybody's talking about being MVP, signed for $140 million in the offseason while laying in bed with Sierra. Had a weird video. All right, good night now. Every time he speaks into a microphone, he says all the right things. Every time he gets on a football field, it seems like he does all the right things. Russell Wilson has 2,505 yards accrued thus far, 22 touchdowns and only one pick.
Oh.
Are you kidding me? Those are good ratios, because sometimes you get ratioed on the internet, and it's not good. Too many comments, not enough retweets or likes, you get ratioed. The ratio of 22 touchdowns, only one pick 9 weeks into this thing, and also 200 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson has picked the Seahawks organization up, put it right on his back, and he has ran like a baseball player right through the NFL thus far for 9 weeks. Just running like this, slinging it, throwing it into a bucket, making things happen. There was a lot of questions. They get rid of the Legion of Boom. This team will now depend upon Russell Wilson. How will they do? How will Pete Carroll do? He has done nothing but show up and show out. And now they add Josh Gordon to the mix. Let's assume the offense gets better, but they have a big test on Monday night. The San Francisco 49ers, who are undefeated, play their first real test in the Seattle Seahawks, and Russell Wilson gets a first real test against that Niners defense that has been dominant. Richard Sherman's all the way back. Bosa's a monster, but those are my 7 candidates who have earned their way into the MVP conversation. I feel like a real talk show host with that.
Well done.
Strong list.
I don't know if you can at FanDuel bet on one of those 7 to win, but if you could pick a pool, one of those 7 is going to win it. And there's a lot of football to be played. A lot of football. Lamar Jackson could either turn it all the way up, or he could take one massive shot and be all the way down. That's just factual statement. Boza could continue to be dominant, or they could triple team him. He could get chipped up by a running back, chipped by a tight end, and a tackle. You don't know what's going to happen. That would be good for the rest of his team. A disruption stat is something that isn't real, but it is on teams, so he might be able to do that. But will he still be able to be dominant? He is a rookie after all, even though he's not playing like it. Jacoby Brissett's going to come back with a little bit of a sprained knee. Will he be able to lead the Colts to the promised land? Will Christian McCaffrey be able to keep up? We don't know. Russell Wilson, what a superstar. That's why the NFL's awesome. And that's why you're awesome for listening to this show. By the way, whenever those teams drafted all those guys, they hired the right people. Hiring the right person takes time. Time that you often don't have. But you shouldn't let a time crunch get in the way of finding the right candidates for your business. That's why LinkedIn is the best place to post your job. LinkedIn job screens candidates with the hard and soft skills you're looking for so you can hire the right person fast. Evan Foxy just looked at me with his Michigan State degree and said, Pat, what are the soft skills that you can look for when hiring somebody? Isn't that what you said, Foxy?
Absolutely.
I didn't say that because you're soft. I'm just saying you were wondering about the soft skills that people do have.
Important skills.
Very important skills like collaboration, creativity, adaptability. LinkedIn looks beyond the work skills and connects you with candidates who match your business perfectly. Because it's a lot more than just X's and O's. Spot the Jimmy Joes. That's how LinkedIn can make sure your job post gets in front of people you want to hire. People with the skills, qualifications, and other insights that help LinkedIn paint a better picture of potential candidates. It's no wonder great candidates are hired every 8 seconds on LinkedIn. Insert dramatic pause for 8 seconds. Bang, another person got hired. Find the right person meant for your business today with LinkedIn Jobs. You can pay what you want, and the first $50 is on them. Just visit linkedin.com/Pat. Again, that's linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. linkedin.com/Pat to get $50 off your first job post. Terms and conditions obviously apply. Find the right person for your job that you're looking for. Build your business. Blossom your business. Don't hire a bum. LinkedIn.com/Pat. Cheers. We'll be back on the other side. This is the Pat McAfee Show. Some angry music here, Frank. What do we got going on here, dude?
Artists, so we could use some of their tunes.
Well, your mic was muted, so I
Oh.
appreciate them getting a shout out there. In the first segment there, I went through my list of potential NFL MVP candidates, dudes who have played their way into the conversation. We got a lot of football left, so I don't want to cry on anybody. Don't cry on them. But, boy, there's 7 candidates, I think, where this might be the first time in a long time, we talked about this before the show, where there isn't a runaway candidate. Now, granted, you would argue that Russell Wilson, who has 22 touchdowns with only 1 pick, would be a runaway candidate, but they've only won games by a total of 18 points this year. That defense is not great. So that almost makes it even more impressive that Russell Wilson's been able to win games because he has put the entire franchise right there on his back. Growing his hair out, too. He's rich. He's wealthy. He's married. He's got a stepkid and probably another one on the way. I mean, he's living his best life, but he also plays for a team that is in Seattle, and we live by the East Coast bias. So I would assume that Russell Wilson is running away with the MVP conversation, but there's 6 other dudes that we found very impressive thus far. How will it turn out? Nobody knows. The NFL is unpredictable. What a joke. Nick Moraldo's here with a new segment called Notable News with Nick. Nick, what do we got going on?
All right, alliteration aside, let's get into it. Des Bryant says he's available in 2 weeks, and he's okay not being a starter. He just wants to contribute to a team.
Okay, Des Bryant was on the Saints, tore his Achilles in like the first day of practice. That takes a long time to bounce back from. I'd assume there'll be some teams that'll call and see if he still got it or not. And if not, XFL's right around the corner with your boy on the sideline. Des Bryant's so talented. I'd assume there's some team that can make him a role player if need be. I think Des Bryant in that Saints locker room, they came out on his side, said he was a cool dude. I'm not sure that he was there long enough to really get the vibe of everything, but I think Des Bryant has been painted in a bad light for a long time. Will he be able to change and adapt? Who knows? Happy to hear he's going to be healthy. He's a hell of a football player.
Of 63 total pass interference reviews, there have only been 9 reversals in the NFL this year. Coaches' challenges are succeeding less than 10% of the time.
Hold on. That's more than I thought. To be honest, I thought it was going to be next to 0 because I've only seen 1 or 2, and I feel like I watch all of the games. So the fact that 9 have been overturned, although there's probably been like 40 to 50 very obvious ones that have not been overturned, that is a much higher number than I could have imagined. A lot of people are pushing Tony Dungy, a lot of big-time names in football are just asking the NFL just to get rid of the rule. Because if Alberto Riveron in the NFL can't figure out what is egregious or whatever, clear and obvious, whatever they want to say, like, come on. When everybody on earth agrees with something except for Alberto Riveron, you're just putting the refs in a terrible position. This rule was put in for the good of the NFL, for good news in the NFL. Like, hey, we're going to try to adapt to our mistakes of the past. That Saints-Rams thing was obviously egregious and obnoxious, and it costed the city of New Orleans millions and millions of dollars. You're talking about a Super Bowl bid there. Probably going to happen, and instead they're like, listen, we're going to make a rule to change this, and all it's been is just been a cluster truck. The NFL has no idea what to do. Alberto Riveron looks inept. You might as well get rid of the rule or try to figure it out. Because this past weekend there was a couple that could have got overturned and didn't, and then a couple weeks ago there was a couple that should have got overturned and it did. There's no consistency, which is all anybody's asking for when it comes to officiating. Life, too. Like cops, all we're looking for is consistency as well.
Yeah.
When I played volleyball, just make sure we have the same line for both sides. Everything is just looking for consistency, and the NFL refs, and especially the review process, has had next to none. And that's a problem.
Alabama LSU this weekend. The big question, is Tua going to play? Nick Saban said he's doing okay in practice, but the real news here, Kirk Herbstreit, who we know, very smart guy.
Friend of the show.
Not dumb, very smart.
Listens to the show.
Said Tua is going to be fine, expects him to play.
Well, if Kirk Herbstreit says it, I believe it. Anything that comes out of that beautiful face of his with those blue eyes, he wears these, he has this wristband, too, not a wristband, a bracelet he had on. It was like one of them, I think it was like a magnet one. I don't know. I saw it right before we went air on College Game Day. It's like has a little gold in it, and I like fist bumped him, and I was like, "Man, look at that bracelet!" And in our ear, they're like 3, 2. I'm like, "Man, he's just so cool, so smooth." And if he's saying something, let's go ahead and believe it. He is the voice of college football. I can't wait for him to get into that NCAA 2K game. He deserves to have that right to have his voice forever immortalized. But if he's saying Tua's going to be okay, that's good. If Saban's saying he's okay, that's just a game plan. He's just playing with LSU folks. Coach O, yeah, we don't know if he's good or not. I'm sure Saban isn't happy that Herbstreit's like, Tua's doing okay. Don't you worry about it down there in Death Valley. But we got a good one. I like Joe Burrow as well. I think this is the first time where we've seen LSU and Alabama square off, where LSU's offense is going to be able to keep up. LSU's offense is going to be able to dictate the pace of the game. It's going to be a fun game. I can't wait for that. The NCAA college football is a lot better with Tua in it. Let's hope he's healthy. But that seems to be a little bit of his problem. He's a little bit undersized, can't stay healthy, and that ankle might linger. I'll be excited to see those teams that are tanking if they'll look into that or not. I'd assume the answer would be yes.
NBA note, weird game
By the
last
way,
night.
he is a righty.
Yeah, traditional righty.
Tua is a righty, so when you see him throwing and it looks awkward, that's because his dad forced him to be a lefty. I don't know if that's because he was going to be a pitcher or if a left-handed quarterback is just a little bit different. He throws very well. I wonder what he would have been like, though, if he was throwing with his natural hand. He probably would have been even better. But here we are. We live in a world with a left-handed Tua who is just a lightning rod of a man on a football field.
Weird game in the NBA last night. The Bucks beat the Clippers 129-124. We know Kawhi didn't play due to load management, but Giannis airballed a free throw.
Oh, I saw it.
And Eric Bledsoe on an inbound play just started dribbling onto the court. Didn't pass it, just took the ball from the ref, started dribbling, went right down the court.
Well, every once in a while when those rock stars are like, hello, Cleveland, and they're in Detroit, like every once in a while you just have a complete mental breakdown. Mm-hmm. And it happens to happen in front of a lot of people. If you're not going to pass the ball in, you just go, check ball game, I'm going to dribble this in. I mean, everybody knows that that's wrong, but I think that's a hilarious thing. Let's just assume he had a little bit of a brain fart. When it comes to the Greek Freak, air ball, and free throws, I don't know how that happens. We have a basketball hoop in our office, a full NBA three-point free throw, the whole thing. I can count on one hand the number of times that I've gone in there and airballed it, and I didn't play basketball growing up. And I think the times I did, I might have just got off a bong or four, and I just couldn't even see the thing. I don't know how professional basketball players do it. Now, granted, it's a mental thing that happens. I'd assume they get a little bit of the yips or whatever. And if you look at the Greek Freak, his arms are just so big, so it has to be hard to have a little bit of touch. But I've never understood the NBA players that can't make free throws. But I also don't understand whenever kickers miss extra points, which I have done. So it's just a little bit of a faulty thing. But this is becoming a little bit of a trend for the Greek Freak, isn't it, Foxy?
Yes, sir. 60% from the line this year. That's not good.
Come on, man. Come on. Now, granted, he's probably still going to grow and he's going to learn. He's going to get better. Let's assume that this won't be the way it is forever. Why doesn't he just go to the granny style? Why doesn't he just, say, listen, I don't care have you seen these arms? Have you seen this body? And have you seen me yick on people? Let's not judge. Why doesn't he just go to the granny style? I would offer up this offseason lessons in the granny style for me to coach him if he would like it. I would like for him to become a 90% shooter, and I think the granny style is the best way to do that.
I assume that's an issue, though. He is bulking up. He's getting bigger. He's adding muscle, and that's tough to shoot when you do that.
Too many curls. Maybe his arms were tired.
Well, quarterbacks, you never see quarterbacks that are really yoked because you like to keep that thing loose. And whenever you work out your arms, you get tired. I've been doing a lot of arm workouts because my gut's getting a little bit bigger. So if you do arms, you can wear sleeveless and still look like you're in shape. Every time I do arms, Foxy hasn't done arms in his entire life. Foxy's J is still smooth. Mine's a little bit herky-jerky because of how tired my biceps are.
Right.
The Greek Freak's probably going through the same thing. Let's get him off the arms a little bit. Let's get him into the granny style, and let's make him a 100% free throw shooter so that the Milwaukee Bucks and the Greek Freak not only can sell more shoes because his shoes are nice.
Yes, comfy.
Hey, his shoes are tight, dude.
Oh, they are tight.
Hey, tight, dude.
Super tight.
Super tight, bro.
Chris
the
Carter.
tightest of tight, dude.
Chris Carter released from First Things First on Fox. No one seems to know why.
Yeah, this is kind of like an underground story happening here. We have a kid that works for us. His name's Brumley. He is the representative of the Zone for us. So if we do anything wrong, he's the one that tells us and all that stuff. He used to work at that show. And he said, hey, something's up with Chris Carter. He hasn't been on First Things First for a while. Mm-hmm. And we watch all those shows every day. We enjoy it. I enjoy watching other people, try to learn from them, see what they do, what they don't do, who's saying what, just so we know what's going on, so we can have our ear to the ground in these streets. So whenever somebody takes a shot at us, we know. You know what I mean? And when somebody says something smart, we know. When somebody says something dumb, we know. But Chris Carter's a guy that I got a chance to learn about and become friends with at a Pro Bowl. He was the coach of our team. I sat right next to him on a bus while we had to go practice in the desert in Phoenix. 3 hours we sat in traffic, he and I. We learned a lot about each other. And I hated him going into that conversation because of how he acts on television. But then once I got to know him, I'm like, this is actually a pretty good guy. I have no idea what happened at Fox Sports. I have no clue. I'm eager to hear it. But every time he speaks now after getting to know him, I'm excited about it. I want to hear what's coming out of his mouth. He's one of the greatest of all time. But You get fired out of nowhere. I mean, there's going to be an interesting story that's going to follow behind here. I'll be excited to see what happens next.
Colts long snapper Luke Rhodes says the Vinny and Rigo are wrong. The missed kick in Pittsburgh was his fault. He has the data to back it up. He said, that's my job. I have to snap the same ball every time.
So everything I've been saying, obviously, very, very new information for people, that the long snapper is in control of the laces in a field goal operation. This is something that hasn't been known by the general population for a long time, mostly because Finkel, Einhorn, Ace Ventura blamed Dan Marino. And back in the day, whenever long snappers were tight ends or D ends or also offensive guards, their job wasn't as precise. It wasn't something that they were expected to deliver the same snap every time for the laces to face forward for the holder. But now that the long snapper is its own position, now that the long snapper sometimes gets paid $1 million to do what they do, they are 100% expected to have the laces out every single time. Luke Rhodes, incredible long snapper. They call him Rambo. He's very jacked. He used to be a linebacker. Now he's a full-time long snapper. That was his job. That is his job. Yes, Rigoberto Sanchez on the hold could have helped him. Vinatieri could have made the kick. It would have been very, very difficult. But it all starts with the beginning of the operation, the long snapper, and that's Luke Rhodes, whose job is to get the laces out. I'm happy he's owned up to it. That says a lot about him. That's accountability. And I also enjoy the fact that now, anytime you see laces, we can stop blaming Marino and we can start blaming the long snapper. Joining us now from the Pittsburgh Steelers is a linebacker who's an absolute animal on the football field. He's in a contract year. Ladies and gentlemen, Bud Dupree. What up, Bud?
What's going on? How you doing?
I'm hanging out. How are you? I know you got practice here in a little bit, so I appreciate you taking some time to join us from what looks like the equipment room.
Yeah, definitely. I had to get a quiet spot, man. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, no problem. What the hell happened this weekend? I thought my Colts were just going to beat the hell out of you guys. You had a great game plan, and now the Steelers look like a team that even without Ben Roethlisberger can rely on everybody else, and they have a full team. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. We got to fill the slack for Ben. Ben's a great player, Hall of Famer guy. When he went down, that was unfortunate for us. But we got to keep moving. And, other guys got to step up and make big plays, so we can continue to be on the rise.
I saw you in an interview talk about how this is your contract year, and you were playing lights out right now. I don't think a lot of people outside of NFL locker rooms understand that a contract year, yes, it's business. Yes, it's all of this stuff. Yes, you're playing for your team. But from a personal standpoint, this is all of your dreams coming true in one particular year. You have to play your absolute best football, which is what you're doing right now. Can you talk about that going into the year, the mindset that you had knowing that a lot's on the line?
Yeah, well, coming in preparation-wise, I know I stepped up a lot, above the net game, first and foremost, because contract year is life-changing, like you said. 1 year you can't change not only your life, but your family's life. And so, also, wanting to win for the team, you also want to put that in their books too. Everybody wants to take it to the big game. And we had a lot of obstacles between now and then, but, we still going to grind it out, and we're still trying to get it.
What is Cam Hayward? Is he just a physical specimen? Quentin Nelson, everybody talks about, everybody, including me, I got a chance to watch him. He is Wreck-It Ralph. But Cam Hayward put him on skates a couple of times. Did you guys know that your D-line and Cam Hayward in particular had to have a big game against the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, definitely have a big game. They've been mauling people in front the whole season. We seen it on film. We seen Quentin Nelson, the whole left side of the line just dominate people, individually and collectively. Cam did a great job. I feel like he had rose up to the challenge and just played his best game at that position.
Hell yeah.
56 is a great player. He's been killing people. Like, we see it on film all the time, just killing people. So it was a great challenge for me and Cam on that side of the ball to go out and to make something happen.
Hell yeah, you had a heck of a game. You've been having a heck of a season. Let's talk about your team a little bit. Ben Roethlisberger goes down with a baseball injury. So what? Now what? You bring in Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's been an instant game changer. Talk about him coming into your locker room and the Steelers' decision to bring him in, even though when it looked like things were looking down for your team.
Man, Minkah was an absolute monster, too. We really didn't know what was happening during that trade. But as soon as it happened, everybody started putting up Minkah film and saying what type of guy he was, especially from Alabama guys, like Mark and Bugs. So, once we got the solidification for them, it was all she wrote. He came in, made a big play the first game, and he had all new friends.
He had all new friends. Is that what you Hey, welcome to the team, Minka. Mason Rudolph took one of the scariest hits I've ever seen in my entire life. Now he's back starting for you guys. It took him a little bit to settle in, but he looks like he's a guy that can really get the job done for you. Do you see the same thing in practice? What type of guy is he?
Yeah, man, he's always had, even since that hit, he's still the same person. He's not shying away from anything. He's still going to take contact, which we don't advise him to do. But, he's still going to be him, and he still make big plays, and he's taking a little more of a leader charge on the offensive side of the ball and trying to make sure everything's in place.
Bud, the Pittsburgh Steelers are the storied franchise. You're going into a contract year. The Steelers normally take care of guys who do very well. What would it like to start your career and end your career as a Pittsburgh Steeler?
It'll be great. It'd be, for my family, I love it. I love it. Be here with my brothers for the rest of the time. It'll just be a fun experience and keep building on this defense that Coach Tomlin has handpicked and put together.
What is Tomlin like on a day-to-day?
Oh, he is what he get. He's the best coach I've ever had. He keeps it real, tell you like it is, and gonna make sure that you're well prepared. He's always going above and beyond for the game plan. Let people know certain situations, especially situations that we got situation football Fridays, and Coach Tomlin comes in on Fridays with a whole lot of different stuff that we can use in the game for tips and tendencies.
Well, I don't think he gets enough credit. I don't think you do either. I know you have practice, Bud. Good luck over there with the Steelers. I hope you get the bag, the whole bag. And thank you so much for taking some time out of your busy, busy day.
All right, man. Appreciate that. Thank you for having me.
All right. Cheers, Bud. Appreciate you so much. Bud Dupree, ladies and gentlemen. What a good guy there. Hey, Tomlin does not get enough credit. I don't think Tomlin gets enough credit.
I like that situational Friday stuff because I don't think that's been happening in the past, and that's been one of the big criticisms against Tomlin, situational football.
There's Nick, big-time Steelers fan. Situational football is always something that – what is this?
This is called Money on My Mind.
Oh, because contract year.
Oh, I see what you did.
I see what you did there.
Well played. Well played.
I mean, that's the issue with the hack music. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
Because if we could have came in with the Shane McMahon theme right there.
Oh, it would have been perfect.
Money, money, money. Money. That would have been good. Shout out to Bud Dupree. I hope he gets the whole bag, man. He deserves it. Good guy, playing good football. But, man, I lost a lot of money because of him and Cam Hayward. Damn. We'll be back on the other side of the Spat McAfee Show. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. It is Thursday, November 7th. Already.
Wow.
It's already November 7th.
Oh.
Time is flying. It's going to be the holiday season in no time. Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, whoever you be celebrating out there. If you don't celebrate any of those, I mean, I understand. You got to do what you got to do. Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Best holiday of all time. I mean, granted, celebrating something, I guess, that isn't exactly fantastic. But any holiday where you just sit around and gorge, I'm all in. And stuffing needs to be a more prevalent part of our society than it is. Yes, I understand saving it for Thanksgiving is good news. And yes, the apple pie and the turkey and the ham. I got beans, greens, ham, the whole thing. But stuffing is literally what just started to make my mouth drool thinking about Thanksgiving there. Sorry I got off track. Heck of a morning thus far. I gave my MVP candidates thus far in no particular order. I listed off Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Nick Boza, Christian McCaffrey, Jacoby Brissett, and
Deshaun Watson.
A lot of people on the internet are telling me I'm wrong. Matt Stafford should be on there. I agree. Matt Stafford might throw for 50,000 yards this year, but their team does not have a winning record. I'm not saying their team stinks. They just can't win the close ones, which is what you need to do if you're going to be an MVP conversation, is have a winning team. That's just what has to happen. We put Jacoby in there just strictly because Jacoby's my guy. Got a chance to watch him do some amazing things. Some other people say Michael Thomas. Good call. I think he's been a guy who's been very steadfast down there for the Saints. But that's why I believe Sean Payton is definitely in the Coach of the Year candidate list. Because without Drew Brees, he was able to get wins with Teddy Bridgewater, who is a damn good quarterback, and I assume he's going to be highly sought after this offseason. But Sean Payton is on my Coach of the Year candidates because of his ability to get the ball to Michael Thomas. Maybe I should have had Can't Guard Mike on there. That might have been a little thing wrong. Sean Payton, though, my Coach of the Year candidate. Also, Matt LaFleur, my Coach of the Year candidate. He went in there and flipped around the Green Bay Packers culture, environment, organization with the quickness, has gotten on the same page as Aaron Rodgers, even though they have two polar opposite personalities. Harbaugh for Baltimore. He's another guy that's on my Coach of the Year candidates list. He flipped an entire team and a style of football around strictly to fit Lamar Jackson, who he knew was lightning in a bottle. And my last coaching candidate that I think should be in the Coach of the Year conversation is
Kyle Shanahan.
Kyle Shanahan, undefeated coach of San Francisco. Last year, if Jimmy G zigs instead of zags, they probably have this type of run. There was a lot of hype about the Niners last year. It didn't pan out because their quarterback got injured. They ended up stinking. The defense wasn't great. But this year, they've showed up and showed out. Kyle Shanahan has rallied the troops. John Lynch has brought in good key players. And the ability for Shanahan to not only adapt the run game in his offense, but motivate that entire team to become something special. The young Kyle Shanahan is on there. So we got Shanahan, Harbaugh, LaFleur, and Payton. Sean Payton's kind of old guard in that whole thing there. A lot of young faces, a lot of young names in there. I'm excited to see who ends up winning that. It's November 7th, 2019. Beautiful Thursday. We have a Zito fact for you. Zito, what is it?
Yes, sir. So, Zito fact of the day is beavers can hold their breath for 45 minutes underwater. Back to you, Pat.
Where did you find that?
Under a Snapple top.
So Snapple Tops just have fun facts, right? And you've been collecting Snapple Tops for how long now?
4.5 years.
How many do you have?
Well over 400, maybe.
North of 400 Snapple caps?
Yes, sir.
More than that.
I was being modest.
That's not really being modest. I don't think that's something you should brag about. I don't.
Well, if we want the real number, it's like 600.
He's swimming in them in his room like Scrooge McDuck. It's absurd.
Cannot deny.
It's perfect for our show. The fact that beavers can hold their breath for 45 minutes underwater does not get talked about enough, I would argue.
Yeah, and then Blockdad sent something to us. He said a dolphin can only hold it for 8 to 10 minutes, and they live underwater.
Weak-ass dolphin. Weak-ass dolphin.
Don't taunt dolphins.
Listen, dolphins will hump you to death. I know that.
Yeah.
Dolphins will gangbang you out in the water if you happen to get caught in a pod.
They are a lawless society.
They love
do
drugs.
what they want. They get high.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they smoke on that seaweed.
Porcupines.
The pufferfish, yeah.
Yeah, they smoke on that pufferfish. They just bully pufferfish into becoming marijuana of the sea. I mean, dolphins are some real G's out there, but the fact that they can only hold their breath for 8 minutes shows me that they're soft, not smart, and they need to get it together.
You think they say puff, puff, pass?
You like that one, Z?
I did.
That's a nice little fun fact for you. Any other notable news before this first hour ends, Nick?
Yeah, we got to talk about Nate Diaz, who is flirting
Diaz?
with retirement.
Is it Diaz?
He said he's no longer pursuing a rematch with Jorge Masvidal. On Instagram, he said, "Fornicate a rematch. This ish was over before it started. I'm going out on tour." That's word for word. Peace out, fight game.
So he's going on tour. I'm excited for that. I will go see Nate, whatever he's going to do. I don't know what that dude. He gives less fornicates than any other human I think I've ever seen. He did his open training session while smoking. Like that was he lit up a cone and trained. He will walk into any cage and fight anybody. He's had a very incredible UFC career. Even though he's had some losses, he's always been fun to watch. Can trash talk with the best of them and can beat up anybody that you're friends with. I don't know what the hell he's going to do on tour, but I'll probably go watch it. What if he just goes in there and goes on tour? You know, like how some of those people do the one-man show?
Yeah.
And it's him just standing on a stage telling a story, and then some local comes out, he knocks him out, and then he just walks back out, lights up a cone, and then starts telling another story.
I think he'd be incredible just doing crowd work, just roasting people in the crowd. He's very good at making fun of people and saying really mean things. So I think that would be awesome.
What's that restaurant that you go to where they just talk crap?
Abdivetics or something like that.
That is definitely not the name of it.
Bob's
What-
Last Resort or whatever.
What did you...
Dick's Last Resort.
Yeah.
What?
It's also a Midwest one too. Abdibevics.
That just doesn't sound anywhere near accurate. What
You
we were
just
looking.
made that up.
You just Abdebevics. You think is the name of
Hold
somewhere?
I'm finding it.
Yeah, but let's say there's one of those like in the town you grew up in. How do you think that is what I'm referring to? What is it called? I think it's Dick's Last Resort.
Yep.
Where you walk in there and they just roast you, right?
Right.
Those are the people that like to get stepped on and peed on and stuff. You go into that place, you like to get made fun of. Like
Yeah,
that's your
subs.
thing. Yeah, subs, betas, super
Yeah,
betas.
yeah.
You go in there. Now, granted, you have gone into one of those, Ty, right?
Yeah, I have. Me and my brothers did.
Yeah, you and your brothers went in there.
And we just gave it to the waiter, and this guy was not mentally prepared to handle it.
And
We
he
just-
quit.
Yeah, basically, he dropped our drinks off and pretty much didn't see him the rest of the night. I mean, we really gave it to
A
him.
whole family of Schmitz. I don't know if anyone can handle that.
What if Diaz becomes a Dick's Last Resort manager? He just walks around burying these cucks all over the place. That would be an interesting thing. I like the thought, though, that people can handle getting made fun of and you go to a place. But, boy, if you could flip a script on them, I like that as well. I wish I was there for the Schmitz to do that. Zito, did you learn anything of your Google search here, pal?
Yes, there is a place. It is in Chicago. It is the same thing, but they recently just closed the last couple weeks. It's kind of sad.
So it was a one-off store that isn't even open anymore that you thought potentially
Very
was
well
one I was...
known in the Chicago community. Bear Don.
Second hour coming up on the other side. We gave our coaching candidates, Coach of the Year candidates, MVP candidates. Talked to Bud Dupree about the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's on a contract year. We chit-chatted about this. We chit-chatted about that. And on the other side, we got a guy named Matt. He's going to talk about all the quarterback situation, the controversies. Talk about Kirk Cousins not being able to show up in the big games. Why does that happen, Matt? Why does Trubisky stink,
Come
Matt?
on.
I got questions for Hasselbeck. He'll be in sometime in the next hour. Can't wait to chat with him. So thankful you choose to listen and watch. Once again, we have no idea why. A lot of people say that nobody's listening to this show.
Yeah, no one.
It's interesting to me because right now we're on tens and tens of radio stations across the country. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
out of your medication. 2 hours of magic, let's give it a go. Ladies and gents, it's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show. It's the Pat McAfee Show.
Yes, it is, Chase Rice. I appreciate you. We're coming to you live from a box truck in Tampa, Florida. Just had to walk to Georgia to go to the bathroom. It's a hike. Zito and I just got our workout for the day. Felt good to inhale that sauna air, though. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a sauna in Florida right now. Very thick, and it's freezing rain back in Indianapolis. Can't wait to get home this evening before we go to Los Angeles for this KSI Logan Paul fight this weekend. 2 YouTubers are going to scrap at Staples Center. It's going to be entertaining. You can only see that on DAZN. Joining me in the back of this truck, Nick Moraldo, DJ Nick Moraldo. What's going on, man?
Just trying, man, with this music. We're really trying here. We're scraping, we're clawing.
It's tough. We got to use hack music because we don't have the license to play good music. We talk about that every day. We had a pretty bad choice there in the first hour after our conversation with Bud Dupree, who talked about the Steelers team kind of rallying around, even though Ben's out. He's an all-pro player. They knew that they had to step up for the Steelers. It cost me a lot of money this weekend. Bud Dupree playing on contract here could have made himself a lot of money. Thanks to Bud Dupree for joining us in the first hour. Bad music choice by Nick directly afterwards, but he could have never, ever known. Rave reviews for notable news. Nick, for a segment we debuted in the first hour where Nick tells us notable news from around the globe. Anything new pop up?
You want to talk about Chargers and Raiders tonight?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, so after opening as 1.5-point underdogs, the Los Angeles Chargers have been bet up to 1-point favorites. They are 14-5 against the spread on the road over the past 3 seasons and 7-2 on unders this season.
Okay, so that Chargers defense is the truth. They made Aaron Rodgers and the Packers look not great. Now, granted, Aaron said that was a combination of a lot of things. They might have got too content, too comfortable for being dominant the last couple weeks before that, and that Chargers team is getting healthy. If you listen to Rex Ryan talk about it, whose kid coaches for the Chargers, he's like, hey, this Chargers team is getting healthy. They're going to get very good very quickly. That Raiders team had a hot run there for a bit, but their schedule was working against them. I think they traveled like 7,000 miles or something before their home games. They could have been beaten up. They could have done that. I like the way the Raiders are playing football, especially after an offseason of distractions. But for me, it feels like this is about when the Chargers get going. Nobody talks about them because they're the second team to go to L.A. The only conversation about the Chargers that has really been prevalent in the last couple of weeks has been the fact that somebody said they were going to go to England. And old Spanos came out and said, that ain't fornicating true.
To double down on that, their GM spoke yesterday, and he said he spoke to the team and the players, which I guess he rarely ever does. And he said, "Don't believe anything you hear."
Tom Telesco?
Tom Telesco.
He said, "Don't believe anything you hear. We're not going to be redcoats, bro." Listen, we moved you one time for San Diego where everybody was happy. Everybody was content, except for the stadium was trash, didn't always fill up. But everybody loves San Diego. Anybody that lives in San Diego says San Diego is the greatest city in the world. We moved you from San Diego just a little bit ago. Yes, Phil, we understand you still make the commute from San Diego to Los Angeles every day. Please know that it's all a bunch of malarkey. We're not going over to London town. We ain't going anywhere. We ain't going to any other towns. We're staying in Los Angeles. Tom Telesco was with the Colts whenever I got here under Bill Polian. He was the first person I met from the Colts organization. I took a visit out to the Colts, pre-draft visit. I think they wanted to shake my hand and see what type of human I was because, I had a couple stories from college that kind of lingered with me, A couple situations, couple team camaraderie building barbecues that happened, some things like that. They wanted to meet me, shake my hand. I had a 30-minute conversation with Tom Telesco. That man is a gentleman. But, boy, he is a stingy businessman. Whenever they're negotiating deals over there, I didn't know how he was going to be as a GM. He was very nice to me. He's very nice to us. He's been running things over there, and when that team gets going, they get going. Just remember, just last year, they were supposed to go into Foxborough and beat the brakes off of the New England Patriots. That's what everybody's mindset was. This Chargers team is different than Chargers teams of past. This Chargers team is hot. They were supposed to go into Foxborough and beat the hell out of the Patriots. Instead, the complete opposite happened. Tom Brady in the playoffs, Belichick in the playoffs in Foxborough. So this Chargers team can get hot. They have got hot in the past, and it feels like about now is the time they're going to. I would hammer the Chargers this evening against the Raiders. Is that in Oakland or L.A.?
In Oakland.
Doesn't matter because the Chargers play away games every single game anyways. So I like the Chargers tonight. I could be wrong. I'm going to bring out the hammer who got very cold for me for the Colts versus Steelers, and I am swinging that hammer on the Chargers this evening.
Oh,
That's big news, isn't it, Zito?
oh yeah.
Zito's fun facts have captivated the universe. Today he told us and informed us that beavers can hold their breath for 45 minutes.
Insane.
That is insane.
Oh, yeah. More than I can.
Well,
And they have smaller lungs than us.
scientifically,
Yes.
how do they store enough oxygen in those little baby lungs to stay underwater for 45 minutes?
Their tails.
Has to be the power of the tail. They can build a hell of a dam, too. So not only are they carpenters like Jesus, they're also fish. Like fish. Dumbest show in history. At Evan Foxy's here. The Michigan State basketball team was number 1 in the world going into the season. Now I think they're being called a complete bust, dead last, completely defeated on the year. How are you feeling, Fox?
I don't know who's saying that. Maybe that's just you, but Michigan State
Whoa,
always
I don't talk about college basketball. I'm just a parrot in this particular situation. People are saying things. I'm repeating them.
Well, everyone knows college basketball doesn't matter till March when the madness starts, so we're just going to wait on that and have a good team then.
That's quite a defeatist attitude. I respect it a lot out of you. The NBA is also happening, Foxy. The Lakers seem to be untouchable right now.
Yeah, they're going to win it all. We all know that.
Is
We
this
knew
my
that.
fault? Because after the first game against the Clippers, I said, listen, LeBron, I can't do it anymore.
You challenged him.
I did. I said, LeBron, I've been a fan of yours for a long time, but everything you've started to do has made you completely difficult to like. You've made you almost yourself impossible to like. You've made it difficult for me to be a fan. Remember the Taco Tuesday lawsuit, the barbershop thing. Then he was screaming during this and that and that. And then they lost to the Clippers on opening night in the Battle of L.A., but now they have not lost since. And there's a white balding guy on that team that might be up for MVP as well. What's his name?
Alex Caruso.
Where's-
Absolute monster.
Where is he from?
No idea where he came from. He hasn't had hair in like 40 years, but he's incredible. He's yoking on dudes. He looks so unassuming, so guys don't really respect him. And then he really like surprises them with his athleticism.
This is
Texas
white
A&M.
man can't jump type stuff.
Bingo.
You jog down the stairs, you show up at the court. I'll take that guy, Billy Hoyle. Give me him. That's Caruso. Him and LeBron have been dominant. The LeBron James Lakers look like they're all the way back, and I'm happy about that. Because LeBron was almost, just like Jason Witten got in that Monday Night Football booth and lost his legacy completely. I thought that was going to happen, even though he's all the way back, by the way. But Jason Witten's all the way back. Nobody's even going to remember that Monday Night Football thing. In like 2-3 years from now, nobody's even going to think about it. Thank God for Jason Witten, by the way. Good man, good family man, good football player. He's back for the Cowboys. Obligatory Cowboy talk just happened right there. But LeBron, I thought L.A. was going to ruin his legacy. I thought everybody was going to hate him and think like, oh, he sold out. I thought people were going to call him
There's still
A
time.
stooge and a sellout.
But instead, he's flipped it around, focused on basketball, and made that team very good with a balding white guy named Caruso.
Have you heard of his nicknames yet?
Who?
The Bald Mamba.
Oh.
The Bald Eagle. I like the Bald Mamba better, though.
I like the bald Mamba a lot, especially because he's with the Lakers. What number does he wear?
Oh, shoot.
Way to say shoot there, by the way.
Was that a real story that he was photoshopped into looking much bigger than he is, and then he got randomly drug tested by the league after people saw the pictures? I saw that floating around.
Number 4.
This guy is just a mystique of a man,
He
this
is, he's an
Caruso.
anomaly.
Nobody has a clue where he came from. He's still balding. Speaking of bald, an 18-year NFL quarterback just joined us in the box truck. We were talking about the Lakers and how hot they are. I know you are. I think I can say balls deep. Yeah, because we talk about, man, you're balls deep in NFL conversation, Mr. Hasselbeck, because you are a voice of the NFL for ESPN. You can see this man on NFL Sunday Countdown. You can see this man on Thursday Night Football on ESPN alongside myself. Tonight we're calling the Temple USF game, coming to you live from a pirate ship, Raymond James Stadium. Mr. Matt Hasselbeck, how are you, bud?
Yeah, the pirate ship.
Should be a good time.
It's going to be great. Been up there a few times for Monday Night Countdown. It's a good time. You're going to love the pirate ship. It's got 2 levels to it. You're going to love it. It's got
Well,
a cannon. They
I-
don't use the cannon for the USF games, just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Which is a shame. I would like to launch that thing off. Final! I would like to do that a lot. Ty Schmidt also here back here alongside Evan Foxy, Zito, Nick, and now we're joined by a Pro Bowler, an All-Pro.
Former. Not going to the Pro Bowl this year. Former Pro Bowler.
I think you could, though, for some teams, if you were to step up.
You know, my first time I ever got
Matt Hasselbeck.
invited to the Pro Bowl, I actually wasn't elected. I was the 4th guy, so I was the first alternate. But Brett Favre in the NFC would never, ever go.
Respect.
So at the end of the season, I have my exit physical after we lost, I think, probably a playoff game. We lose early.
No big deal.
And the doctors are like, all right, you got to have surgery tomorrow. And I'm like, cool. But if I get a chance to go to this Pro Bowl, I'm not having shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
And so like that, I think what I realized is that I wasn't alone in that. Like if a guy's never made a Pro Bowl and he's supposed to have off-season surgery, he's like, nah, I'm good. Like I'll work around it. I don't need the surgery. I'm going to my first Pro Bowl. I don't know if I'll ever go back.
And on the complete flip side, for me, when I got voted into my second Pro Bowl, I had to have surgery on my knee. They were like, well, do you want to play in the Pro Bowl or do you want to do the surgery? I was like, to hell with the Pro Bowl. I do the surgery on my knee.
Because it's your second one.
Exactly.
But if it's your first one, it's hard. And even as a punter, it's harder because only one guy goes from
only
each
one,
conference.
yeah. Quarterback's
different. You get 3 guys in the AFC, 3 guys in the NFC, and then there's always like a Tom Brady or a Brett Favre that will never go.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
By the way, very selfless of Tom Brady and Brett Favre. Nobody ever talks about that. They're always like, oh, they're too good for the Pro Bowl. It's like, well, they're also offering up quarterbacks that are very average to get a Pro Bowl appearance.
This is a hot button for Pat, I know. He's like, well, it's easy to make the Pro Bowl as a quarterback.
It is.
But
If
not
you
as
play,
a punter.
if you play
It's a hot
quarterback in
button.
the NFL, you can get in the Pro Bowl.
It's a hot button.
If you could
It's a hot button for him.
If you could take a center quarterback exchange in the NFL,
That's-
you can make it to the Pro Bowl.
That's an exaggeration.
I think if I would have got a couple more passes, like Johnny Hecker might make it as a quarterback. That's how I feel. The Pro Bowl needs a change, by the way. Have you ever thought about how to change it?
They have changed it. They do some new things. It's before the Super Bowl now. I think that one of the best things that they've done is they've got this epic dodgeball.
Yes.
Have you seen that?
I think it should be all of that.
And that's what I think actually the NFL Players Association, the NFL did a good thing. They came to the NFLPA and they said, listen, help us save the Pro Bowl. Give us some ideas. Everything's on the table. And so the NFLPA at that time said, hey, what about things like dodgeball? What about kick-tack-toe? You know, like that kind
Love
of.
it.
What about just like involving the fans? Let them come to that. Make it just like the game. It's been a good thing. You know who's unbelievable at epic dodgeball? Jarvis Landry. Like incredible athlete. Unbelievable.
Well,
like if it was an Olympic sport, Jarvis Landry would be the, he'd be the guy.
The guy.
The guy.
I think it should go completely to that. Like, I saw the quarterback skills challenge back in the day. You might have been in it, actually. No, I think Brett was. But it was back in the day.
Yeah, no, we used to do that. That was a good thing. I actually think they should do quarterback skills challenge with skill players. So, like, Mohamed Sanu should get to go in. Hacker
Yes.
should be in it.
Yes,
Get
I agree.
quarterbacks versus non-quarterbacks.
Let's make it a show.
Make it a show.
Let's make it a
Make it
show.
fun.
Because nobody likes the game anymore. Players don't like the game. Fans don't like the game.
The game is still good. The game's still
What?
good, but that other stuff could be even better.
The game
Really.
is not good.
I think if you could get the guys with the helmets off, there's some great athletes. Who's the kicker? Graham Gano. He's pretty good at dodgeball.
Incredible at dodgeball.
Yes.
And he had a little soccer kick up to himself.
yeah.
He got a good gif of himself.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good athletes. I think we
Yeah.
should take it. We should have the 40-yard dash race, by the way. Not everybody
So
should.
one year they had that, and Michael Vick was one of the fastest guys. He was like the Lamar Jackson of the day, and he ran it in my jersey. We had traded jerseys and autographed them to each other, and he ran the 40-yard dash in a number 8 Seahawks jersey, and I was so that jersey has never gone that fast in its life. I was so proud of Michael Vick, so proud.
All right, let's get to it. I think they should offer up money, though, for that. Cash prizes.
They do. They do.
No, but I'm talking about for 40-yard dash, we should do the longest throw.
No, well, when they do it, they do. Like, you actually win money. You win cash. It's like 20 grand or something.
Yeah, but
like
there
that.
should be a series of those. I think.
Yeah.
You know what I
let's do
mean?
it.
I think it'd be cool.
I love it.
And I don't know if I like it before the Super Bowl or not, because I want the guys that are in the Super Bowl to compete in it as well.
Yeah, I hear that. But
You're on the opposite side, it sounds like.
well, they kick that back and forth. You know, if a guy is going to have an off-season surgery, it just pushes him that much further away. Plus, if you're a team that was not in the playoffs, you can get out of shape.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden, you like ended your season the week before the wild card. Now you're not going to play another game until the week after the Super Bowl.
All right, so let's
You know
fix
what
the
I'm
Pro Bowl real quick so we can make the headline that Pat McAfee, Matt Hasselbeck fix the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, you can take the credit. It's okay.
No, you should be in there.
All right.
We do contests. We do prizes. We make it an entire thing. It's almost like the World's Strongest Man where there's different events for players. And then all of a sudden, bang, you got cash prizes both to charity and to the winners. And we just make this an entire, like that quarterback skills thing where they're throwing it into smoke and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Let's allow other people to do that.
Patrick Peterson should be in there. Like,
Yes.
those kinds of guys should be in there. But also open it up to the fans. A lot of these events are just made for TV, and there's no real atmosphere and no fans. I think that's something that fans would want to be up close and personal for, just like a game.
I agree. All right, so we fixed the Pro Bowl. Let's get to a break on
Does
the.
it need to go back to Hawaii real quick?
Yes.
I don't think it needs to, no.
I'm not playing anymore, so I don't give a damn.
But you love Hawaii. You love Hawaii.
I am.
Yeah.
Hey, Shaka, bruh.
Shaka,
I
bruh.
am a Hawaiian. I'm getting married in Hawaii. I got engaged in Hawaii.
Well, okay.
I've been
I
high
had a good joke.
in
I'm just
Hawaii.
going to stay away from it. Just stay away.
Yeah, please do.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got a funny story about Hawaii sometime. Maybe I'll tell you after this, and then if it's worthy,
teaser.
we'll bring it back.
Now
to the-
seems like a good time to do it.
No. I'll tell you after this, and then if it's worthy of the
Oh,
show,
you're going to deliver it 2 times really good, you think?
Yeah, well, I got to see what you think about it.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear it twice. I want to hear it the first time and enjoy it.
No,
Is it long or is it short?
we'll see what you think. We'll preview
I
it.
don't want to know.
Okay.
Pitch it to Ty.
I'll pitch it to the boys. Ty, I'll pitch it to you.
We'll circle back.
Okay.
Hey, we'll put a pin in it.
Yep.
Hey, on the other side, I'm going to ask you about Kirk Cousins,
Yeah.
Trubisky.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Trubisky Pro Bowler last year.
Yes.
Number 3 total QBR. What happened? We'll ask
Yeah.
you. But first, let's talk about the holidays.
Yeah.
I know. It's crazy early to talk about the holidays, but trust me, you don't want to go through another holiday season taking closed-mouth photos while everyone else is grinning ear to ear. Do you, Matt?
No, heck no.
Getting a photo-ready smile starts right now. It's easier than ever with clear aligners from Candid. Candid's aligners can help straighten your teeth faster than traditional wire braces. Treatment takes just 6 months on average. An experienced orthodontist who is licensed in your state creates a custom treatment plan. Then they show you a 3D preview so you can see how your teeth will look after you're done. That's a big deal because now you have a goal. Now you have something that you're shooting for. Bang, look at my mouth. I've never seen it look that damn good. Candid's doing that for you. Candid's aligners are comfortable, removable, and completely invisible. Candid ships your aligners directly to you, so there's no hassle of going to an orthodontist's office. And Candid costs 65% less than braces. And with each aligner purchase, Candid donates $25 to Smile Train, who brings 100% free cleft lip and palate treatment to children around the globe. Get your photo-ready smile by the holidays. Go to candidco.com/Pat and use code PAT to get $75 off. That's candidco.com/Pat, code PAT for $75 off. candidco.com/Pat, code Pat. We'll be back on the other side with all the NFL chatter you can handle. Also, I'll tell him my MVP people that I'm talking about, see his reaction. There's a lot of chatter on the internet about how I was wrong. Can't wait to hear from Hasselbeck. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show on this beautiful Thursday, November 7th. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show. We're coming to you live from a box truck in Tampa Bay, Florida. I am joined by a league of extraordinary gentlemen. Ty Schmidt, Foxy, Joey, the genius is here. Zito's here, Nick Morado, and 18-year NFL legend Matt Hasselbeck. Matt, I'm going to miss you after we're done calling these Thursday Night Football games.
Yeah, you're moving on up. Moving on up to XFL, I heard. Is that a real thing?
I'm moving on down, actually, to the field.
Oh, yeah?
All access, Matty boy.
Hey, you can go to the field right now on Thursday Night Football. You can go wherever you want. You want to go to the pirate ship. You want to go to the locker room. You want to go to the sideline.
You should go to the pirate
Molly
ship.
McGrath would have you on the sideline. She'd show you the ropes. Maybe that's a good idea. You know?
Well, by the way, I didn't want to be a sideline reporter because of how hard I've seen Molly have to work for what she does. Like, I think everybody just assumes that's an easy job.
She gets some good nuggets.
Incredible. And then she'll get bodied out of some things sometimes.
What was the thing last week at West Virginia?
Darius Still says, report this. The Baylor offensive line is soft. That's awesome. Best sideline reporter in the game. Hopefully I'll be able to add to that with the XFL. Okay, let me talk to you about some stuff that is happening. Lamar Jackson is a complete game changer. Do you think there is any chance he remains healthy throughout the season? He has said on numerous occasions, I know how to do this. This is my style of play. I've been doing this high school, college. The NFL is a different animal. And I think in the past, a lot of people have seen quarterbacks that play the way he does, take a couple of big shots, and it changes everything. I hope he doesn't. I hope he remains healthy because he's fun to watch. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so the very first college football game I ever called was Lamar Jackson's last year at Louisville, playing on Thursday night against NC State. Met with Bobby Petrino beforehand. He said, listen, my main concern with him, I wanted him to develop as a passer, but my main concern with him running, I don't think he can take the beating. He's a skinny guy. I want to say he's like 195 pounds. That year, he told us that he bulked up 10 pounds. Okay. Like, that's one thing, okay? But that's a short college season. This is a long NFL season, and now if you're the Baltimore Ravens, you're trying to get to 17 weeks and beyond playoffs. I am concerned about him being able to stay healthy, taking a beating like that. Now going into that Patriots game that we all watched, Patriots said, hey, we're going to get physical with him. We're going to hit him a bunch. I think it was Diana Rossini said, hey, that's the plan. They're going to hit him. Well, you can't hit what you can't catch. His speed is like next world. Like, it's unbelievable. So I just think that as a quarterback coach, if you're coaching him, you're giving him some pictures on film saying, okay, here, this is a chance, this is a spot where you took an unnecessary hit. Let's minimize the risk by taking those unnecessary hits out of the equation. Yeah. But if it's a 4th and 2, 4th and 4, and we know John Harbaugh loves to go for it in 4th down, sure, he's going to take the hits, and I think he'll probably be okay. But he's got to just eliminate the ones that he can.
Well, and by the way, they need to ride Lamar Jackson till they can't. He gonna ride till he can't no more. He is unbelievable to watch, and I don't think there's many people that can do what he does ever in the history of the game. I mean, Vic, I guess, is an easy comparison, but he's shattering a lot of Vic's records here in a rapid rate.
And they're all in on him. Like, they're all in on him offensively. They got rid of Joe Flacco. They went with Lamar, and they changed their offense completely. They took their wide receivers coach last year, Bobby Ingram, and made him the tight ends coach. It's kind of rare that someone will go from wide receivers coach to tight ends coach. So they know what they have in the run game, but they've got 3 tight ends. I don't know if people know this. Teddy Bruschi and I are going to do a breakdown on Sunday NFL Countdown on this, okay?
That's tight.
Nugget.
Hey, that's tight. Oh, that's tight,
Super
bro.
tight.
Super
but
tight.
Teddy's going to give it from the Patriots' perspective, why Lamar Jackson's such a headache, and I'm going to give it from sort of the Baltimore Ravens' offensive perspective of they have 3 tight ends that can catch the ball. And in Lamar Jackson's career, college and pro, he has been exceptional at throwing the ball to tight ends. Now, we know about Hollywood Brown and all that, but I think just like with his running ability, they got this thing rolling with the tight ends. It all marries together. The defense is pretty good. They're going to be a threat in the AFC this year.
Okay, obviously they beat the Patriots this past weekend, opened some eyes. Our friend Diggs, our guy Diggs, Anthony DeGilio, is back in Pittsburgh right now, couldn't join us today. He thinks that Belichick potentially let them win 37-20 so that when they play again, he's seeing ghosts with a whole different style.
Well, you know what? Teddy Bruschi did say something that I thought was excellent. He said it's actually good that they got to see Lamar up close and personal.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like this loss in some ways is what needed to happen for the Patriots to be able to get the win in the playoffs. And I feel like he would know.
Okay, losses that need to happen. Little piece of humble pie is what Aaron Rodgers said. What does that mean? Does that mean a team gets too comfortable? He said something about the 48 hours before thing, all the talking heads who just create firestorm anytime Aaron Rodgers speaks. Is there a chance that a team gets too comfortable? I think I've seen it where you need to get your ass kicked, kind of wake back up almost and focus on the little things.
Especially after you win a primetime game like they did, and they won it in such a great fashion. But I will say this, having played for 3 years with the Green Bay Packers, there is something psychological when you go from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and there's snow and you're having a snowball fight, and then you go down to, like at that time it was San Diego or Arizona. You go to like one of those warm weather places, it just messes with your mind. Like to think that you are fully focused, like guys that never go out for pregame, they're out there for pregame. They got their sleeves rolled up trying to like eliminate some tan lines and just get some sun on those like pasty white arms. Maybe that was just me, but it's the distractions are real. So when you go down there, and then also I think that sometimes you think like, hey, we're just going to steamroll over these guys. I think there were like 9-1 Packers versus Chargers fans in LA on Sunday.
Yeah.
And so you think like, oh, this is just like a home game for us. We got this. And but there were some good X's and O's things that they did to attack that Packers defense that changed. They kind of went with a tempo, a hurry up. They didn't blitz Aaron Rodgers. There were some good X's and O's things that led to that win.
Players are super routine-driven individuals. Your entire life is scripted, basically. I mean, granted, after your rookie season in the NFL, you have your first free time where you're not being told where to be and when to be there, literally for the first time in your entire life. But everything else is routine-driven. That's why the London games are so difficult. Mm-hmm. That's why potentially leaving a Green Bay, Wisconsin, and going to Los Angeles can be different, because this isn't a video game. It's humans that have the ability for free will.
Yeah. Well, correct me if I'm wrong. The first time you guys went to London, when you were a player, you played Jacksonville. Didn't they spank you?
Yeah, beat the hell out of us. Blake Bortles actually punted a ball into the stands. No penalty, Walt Anderson.
And I heard people like Andrew Luck talking about it after. Like, we were on a sightseeing trip. We were on like a vacation, and Jacksonville was there for a business trip. Like, they'd been to London a bunch, and they were there on a business trip. And you guys got
By the way, Gardner Minshew's first trip to London. So Doug Marrone said, we know how to do this. This is our thing. Well, Gardner, that's his first time over there, right? And so I thought that could have been a little bit of an interesting thing. Houston Texans took advantage of that. Let's go back to the Chargers-Packers. That Chargers team is getting healthy right now.
Yeah.
They take on the Raiders this evening. I said it doesn't matter where they're playing. They're playing in Oakland, which the Coliseum is one of the coolest places to play. The place is lit. There'll be marijuana smoke in the sky. The DJ's playing only bass songs.
The only bad thing, you don't want to get hurt in that stadium. I've gotten hurt in that stadium, and the X-ray machine is so bad in that stadium. You go up there for an X-ray. This is what I've been told many times, and I've since heard other people say, like, yeah, your wrist isn't broken. Probably. It's kind of hard to know with the old equipment that we have in there as the X-ray machine. So I don't know if it got any better. Usually you don't invest in something that you're about to leave. So
yeah, the locker rooms are terrible.
But other than that, and then playing on the baseball field, like it's a
yeah, the environment is awesome.
It's a great environment.
Everything else is terrible.
The fans are awesome.
Fans are awesome. That's the type of fans that you want. By the way, now granted they're leaving them. They're going to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
But you have to whenever you have that bad of a facility. You got to be able to change it. But the Chargers have an away game every single week. I mean, home games are not. True. I think tonight the Chargers beat the Raiders. And for me, this is a healthy Chargers team getting going. And Rex Ryan, who is not only my peer but your peer as well, his kid coach is out there. He says, hey, look out for them getting healthy. The Chargers could go on a run again. Do you believe that?
Yeah, I sort of do believe that. But here's something I would just know this about the Packers game last week. The Chargers fired their offensive coordinator, Ken Wisenhunt. Fired him. So going into that game, the Green Bay Packers, they were seeing ghosts. They were chasing ghosts. They didn't know who they were playing against.
Got it.
All right, is this an Anthony Lynn, we're going to run the ball all the time team? Or is it now Phillip Rivers, do whatever you want as a passer team? Like, they went into that game blind. They had nothing to prepare for. They had no cut-ups. The NFL, especially for a defense, it's all about stats. All right, 2nd and 1, they're going to do this. 3rd and 5, they're going to do this. Tendencies. And they had nothing going into that. They're like, who's this guy? We had to look up on Wikipedia who this new play caller is. So that, I think, is a factor that what you see this Thursday, now there's tendencies. Now
short week, though.
And a short week, even better. You're not going to have time to change what you've done. So if you're a coordinator and you play on Sunday and then you play on Thursday night football, there's no time to invent new stuff and get it practiced.
Got it.
So it's basically going to be the same game plan that you had going into the week, maybe the plays that you never got to in the game. So this should be a lot easier for the Raiders defense this week than it was for the Packers.
Okay, so that's a little piece of insight that I did not think about, and that's why you have
I used to actually love playing on Thursday night football games because I knew that the defensive coordinator that I was going up against had no time to install new blitzes. So as long as I found the time to watch all their coverages and all their blitzes, I would know what was in their game plan.
Nothing new's coming.
The chances of them getting it on tape and getting it from the install to the field to actually called in the game are very, very low.
Okay, so maybe I should take the Hammer back. The Hammer lost this weekend with the Steelers-Colts. That was kind of a mind blur. The Hammer lost for the first time. I feel bad for it. Still like the Chargers tonight. Don't give a damn. All right, big-time primetime games have been the Achilles heel of Kirk Cousins. That is nothing new. It has literally followed him his entire career. It's like, hey, in big moments, Kirk Cousins can't show up. Kirk Cousins had a massive hot streak going into this past week and has a loss. Now, they have primetime games, I think, like the next 4 weeks. What is it about primetime games that could potentially get into the mind of Kirk Cousins to make him not play as great as he does in the BS games?
Yeah, so, this is a thing with Kirk Cousins. It's kind of something that he's going to have to deal with until he fixes it. But I never in my career, I don't know about you, I never said, like, oh, we're getting ready to play this game. I never really cared if it was a 1 o'clock game, a 4 o'clock game, an 8 o'clock game. Like, that never, ever factored into my mind, ever. Like, never. Now, the thing about Kirk is until he gets one of those big wins against a winning team or on a primetime game, he's going to have to hear that for a while. My contention, I think right now, and I'm kind of digging in this because we're going to talk about this on Sunday, I don't think he's been on very good teams. Like, I really don't. Like, he's been on the Washington Redskins.
Bad.
So, like, his record against winning teams is like 6-17. It's terrible. But, like, you're also playing for the Redskins. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, they have a surprisingly good culture. That's what Bruce Allen said.
So, like, I was just digging into some stuff, like individual numbers, like, because the win-loss thing for a quarterback's a little bit like you could have a good game and lose. You could have a bad game and win. So I went back to the Kirk Cousins against the Rams last year, Thursday Night Football, primetime. 3 touchdowns, threw for 422 yards, lost 38-31.
Good game.
So, like, that's not on him necessarily, okay? How about primetime road games? 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Completing a good percentage. It's like those are the numbers that are in his defense. There are some numbers that are damning to him, like road games, 4-17-1 against teams with a winning record. But again, I think that just goes back to not being on a great team. And I don't know how you feel about it. I'm still digging into it, but
no, that's
we'll
really
see.
good piece of information because quarterbacks get all the credit and all the blame. That's just what happens. That's
but
the position.
Have you ever in your career said, like, oh, this is a primetime game, I got to do this? No,
well,
you don't
so
care.
Dwight Freeney told me, when the lights come on, the stars come out.
Yeah, okay, that's a defensive end, right? Like, that's like someone who's getting hyped and that's energy, and it's like almost like a boxer.
Yeah.
I don't think a quarterback, kicker, like some of those positions is the same way.
Huh?
You're focused on your swing.
He was going out there to punish the ball.
Yeah.
He was definitely getting bussed
Listen,
up.
excuse me, this ball is getting launched into orbit. Who's calling the game? Tirico? This ball is gone. No, you are right there. You're just trying to focus on your individual singular job, and I think it does make you a little bit more mentally weak of a human if you worry about the big-time games and not the big-time games. But it does feel, if you look at one particular set of stats, that he doesn't show up in the big games, where you're saying, no, maybe he does. He's just taking a lot of blame for things that aren't his fault.
I'm digging into it. Right now. But I would say this, the pressure that that dude bet on himself 4 years in a row with millions and millions and millions of dollars on the line.
Yep.
That's pressure. That's more pressure than
That's
like,
real pressure.
oh, I'm playing on a Monday night game against the Browns. Like it's whatever.
People talk about pressure moments. I think my biggest pressure moment was my pro day.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't invited to the combine.
Yeah.
Pro day, people were like, well, in this game, you had to do this in the fourth quarter, this. It's like, yeah, I want to let you know, like, every kick that I did in high school and college on the practice field, I would say, all right, there's $1 million on the line.
Yeah.
On that pro day, real life $1 million on the line.
No
and
joke.
in those contract years, real life millions of dollars on the line.
And I'll take it one further. In a 4th preseason game, when you're either going to make the team or not make the team. Yeah. I remember my second year in the NFL, it was Brett Favre, and it was Rick Meyer and me. And it was like Rick Meyer and I were going up against it. Rick Meyer's like Notre Dame, number 2 pick overall. I'm just some scrub off the practice squad. I remember that game in Madison, Wisconsin against the Denver Broncos. That was as big as any playoff game. It was like, this is either play well and have a job or play poorly, and then you're going to Kinko's making resumes trying to find a real job. Like, that's pressure. So, yeah.
I think Kirk Cousins bet on himself and it worked out. The Vikings hope that he takes that mindset to primetime games the next couple
And
weeks.
Dallas on the flip, like Dak Prescott's numbers in primetime games are phenomenal. Like his win-loss record's incredible. But I think I would just argue that I think he's probably been on a better team, and he's a great quarterback as well.
And he's also on primetime every single week. for the Cowboys.
that's maybe the thing too. They're on primetime against everybody.
Obligatory Cowboy talk just happened. They're happy we did that. We have to get that in for the show or it gets canceled.
I've heard about that. I'm doing a short yardage thing this week. I'm digging into Zeke Elliott. Short yardage. Very good short yardage back. Feed him. Eat.
Let him eat. We'll be back on the other side with more Matt Hasselbeck. This has been very intriguing. I'm going to talk about Trubisky here afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Bears stink.
Come on.
Bad. They're bad at football.
Come on, Mr. Hasselbeck. Get my back here.
No, they stink. I mean, I think he even knows that they stink. There ain't no stat he can
I think
dig
you're
up.
rubbing off on me. I was breaking down the Jets and the Giants, and I was digging in, and I go, they just stink. I'm like, why did I say that? I think that's Pat rubbing off.
11:37. We'll be back on the other side. You're listening to the Pat McAfee Show, and this show stinks. Welcome back to the Pat McAfee Show here in a box truck. Every time I say that, I think it's the biggest joke. We were literally in a box truck.
You know, it's funny, though. A lot of people want to come see the truck. Our producer flew down here just to have a meeting for Thursday Night Football in person. Comes down, he's like, hey, do you think I could see the inside of the box truck?
And whenever we first...
Like he was going to Disney World or something.
Yeah,
and it was locked. I couldn't get him in.
When we first started doing this, nobody really knew about it. But now people are literally in the cities making like Mecca pilgrimages to the box truck. It's pretty awesome. We're in Pittsburgh next week, man. That's going to be an back home diner with Yinzer's University of Pittsburgh taking on they're playing a football game against another team of kids.
UNC, North Carolina.
There we go. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I know
Home of Michael Jordan.
Okay, so and also Mac Brown now.
And Lawrence Taylor.
11:44. And who?
And me. I took one online class.
He said and Zito.
Did you just use yourself in third person right there?
Yeah.
Can we get another Zito fact real quick for the people that are listening on radio?
Yes, sir. Zito fact number 3 today. The King of Hearts is the only king without a mustache. Back to you, Pat.
That's pretty good.
Thank you, Zito. Let's get back to the conversation here. Since we have 18-year NFL legend Matt Hasselbeck, he wants the ball.
I want the ball.
And?
Should have scored. First playoff game as a starter. It was good.
By the way, got to let that thing swing. I liked what you did there.
You know, Al Harris going into the Packers Hall of Fame with my guy Charles Woodson.
Mm-hmm. Congrats to both of them.
Congrats to them. Couldn't have done it without me.
Now, okay, so that type of attitude, though, that mindset, is something that I think Trubisky no longer has. Trubisky looks like a lost player out there. He looks like he's lost his confidence. Last year, number 3 total QBR. Yeah. This year, a completely different animal. Looks scared. Looks like he's seeing ghosts every single play. How do you fix Trubisky? What has been the problem?
So I said this last week on our show. The way you fix it is a disciplined eye progression. He doesn't have a discipline.
The hell does that mean?
Well, I don't care what position you're playing, but if you're playing quarterback especially, you need a disciplined eye progression on every play. Your eyes have to be in the right spot. His eyes are not in the right spot. So there's something to the X's and O's that I know that I could help get fixed for him. I know that I could, but there's something bigger than that, and I think that's what Matt Nagy and company are trying to figure out. Is his confidence is shook. And here's the thing about Trubisky. Him coming out, it was a surprise that he was the second pick overall, but he was probably the most ready guy based on the system that he came from at North Carolina to go start for the Bears quickly. Even though the plan was for him to sit on the bench and have Mike Glennon be the starter year 1, that plan got screwed up because Mike Glennon didn't start out so hot. So they threw Trubisky in there too early. But Mitchell Trubisky had us about 500 pass attempts in his college career. Didn't play a lot of. I think I'm right on that, Joey. Right, about 500. Yeah, he kind of like
the amazing end.
Kind of like a Mark Sanchez or a Brock Osweiler, guys that didn't put Cardell Jones and Dwayne Haskins. They don't have a big resume of snaps. Trevor Lawrence will someday go to the NFL, and he'll have been the starter for 4 years in high school, basically, for 4 years in college. It's like a lot of snaps. That's not the case with Mitchell Trubisky. Came out early, 1-year starter, does not have a wealth of, like a reservoir of experiences to draw back on. And so his confidence is shook right now.
Now, isn't confidence, for me, I learned that my confidence came from my practice reps.
Yes.
Right? So the harder I practice, the better I practice, the more confidence I went into the game. Like, I had to get those reps in. Isn't that something that you can build? And how do you lose that after having an incredible year?
Listen, there's some crazy stuff in sports. People talk about Chuck Knobloch, the second baseman, couldn't throw to first base. What was that? That was something hard to explain.
Got it.
To me, as a quarterback, and you just said it, the way to pull yourself out of a slump like that is with your technique and your fundamentals and the discipline of that. To me, when I studied Mitchell Trubisky last week going into this, like, what is wrong with him? He was so good last year. Why is he shook right now? There's a lot of things, okay? But the first thing that I would point to is that his eyes are all over the place. He needs a disciplined eye progression on every play. There are some base plays that they run all the time, basically plays that high schools are running. 3 guys running curl routes and 2 guys running to the flats. You start inside when the guy that's running the curl in the middle, and you basically just go 1 there, and then whichever way the defense squeezes from, we're going 2 or 3 to the left or 2 or 3 to the right. He's all over the place. He's like looking at everything.
So is that film study? Not enough film study? Not enough practice?
My guess is this, okay? He had a successful year last year. Matt Nagy's very creative, very creative. Prides himself on being creative. You can put too much on a young player's plate, and it's too much for them to handle. And then all of a sudden, it's paralysis by analysis, and they play slow instead of playing fast.
Do you think Trubisky can get out of this and play good football again?
I don't know if he can do it this year.
Well, of course it's not happening this year. I mean, everybody who has a brain knows it's not happening this year.
Do you put much into the I think when he said that he wanted the TVs in the building to be turned off, I think that was kind of tongue in cheek. But this reminds me a lot of Robert Griffin on his way out of Washington, like going to Shanahan and saying no, I don't want this play on the film that we're watching, all that kind of stuff. Do you take much stock in that, or is that kind of whatever?
What he they have mismanaged the public side of this in every which way. And Matt Nagy, I like watching his offense, but he has mismanaged the kicking situation.
Bad. They had 8 guys kicking
you
from
don't
one spot.
understand the kicker. It's out of sight, out of mind. You're making this like a public spectacle.
Yeah.
You brought this drama on yourself. Every now at Soldier Field, if you make an extra point, there's you created this drama. Yeah. This is like Bears on Bears crime. You did this to yourself.
Got it.
And in the same way, talking about Mitchell Trubisky at the press conference, talking about Coach Nagy asked me to watch my body language on the TV copy. It's like a therapy session in front of the local media. What are you doing? You don't see the best teams doing that. You don't see the Patriots doing that. You don't see they have mismanaged that side of this. But if it was me and I was coaching him to get him out of the funk, I would simplify the playbook. Realize that this is still a very young player that hasn't played a lot, especially in college, and just stick to the X's and O's of where your eyes are every play.
Okay, let's pivot. Nagy comes from the Chiefs organization that is not as simplified playbook by any means. They got weapons on top of weapons, and weapons fall out of trees, it seems like, for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
New guy is tearing it up each week.
Yeah.
Matt Moore gets a win for them. They're still in ESPN's top 10, even though they've lost almost half of their games. Patrick Mahomes is going to get back on that field. Are the Chiefs going to be able to go for it? Is Patrick Mahomes look healthy? And that celebration, in my eyes, he was backpedaling, he was jumping, he was punching Butker after the big-time kick. Are the Chiefs going to be something dangerous in the AFC?
Okay, so 3 things real quick, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs probably have one of the best sports medicine departments in all of the NFL.
Really?
Yeah. So I really have a lot of trust and faith in that.
Huh.
Okay. They invest in it well. The ownership invests in it well. They're top notch.
Better than TB12.
That's a separate thing. That's separate of the Patriots.
Okay. All right. Yeah,
Close
yeah,
but separate.
Okay. Yeah.
Second, Chris Jones coming back at D-line for Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to see a better version of that Chiefs defense.
Monster.
Plus Spagnuolo, his defenses seem to go a lot better second half of the season.
Okay.
But I'll say this about Andy Reid. He was my coach in Green Bay. I got to sit there and watch him coach Brett Favre through injuries. Andy Reid's got that giant call sheet. He knows how to call a game around injuries. I've seen him do it with Brett Favre. So he'll do that around Patrick Mahomes' injuries. So some clear and obvious things. You're obviously not going to see quarterback sneaks anymore. You're going to see Anthony Sherman, the fullback, more in short yardage situations.
Got it.
You're not going to see a lot of naked bootlegs and stuff like that, I would imagine, Mahomes' first week back. But they're going to be fine. That team's going to be fine. You saw what Andy Reid was able to do with Matt Moore as quarterback. They're still lighting it up offensively.
Hey, they give Matt Moore too much time. You can't give him a minute 30 and not expect Matt Moore to walk that team right down the field.
And they're doing it creatively also. That's Andy Reid's, I think, one of the more underrated coaches. You mentioned Andy Reid's name nationally, and people think of,
the Kool-Aid man.
Clock mismanagement.
Exactly. They think of stuff like that.
GIF.
Yeah.
It's the gif of him coming through the wall. Oh, yeah. See you Wednesday.
But I think Andy Reid's one of the all-time great coaches of all time.
I think so, too.
And I know Brett Favre would tell you that. A lot of guys in Green Bay have a Super Bowl ring because of what Andy Reid meant to them as a quarterback coach when they won that Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Okay, Andy Reid, you have a connection to. Also, Doug Peterson, who was in that same locker room with you in Green Bay because of Andy Reid. The Eagles seem to be getting on the right page here. Carson Wentz seems to be playing good football. To the Eagles fans, we have a friend who's a diehard Eagles fan who said, I'm buying hotel tickets or a trip to Miami already.
Wow.
Feel good about the Eagles being all the way back.
That's aggressive. It's been a 2-team race in that division this whole time, Cowboys and Eagles.
Who's going to show up?
And really, the Cowboys are in the driver's seat. The Eagles are likely a wild card team at this point. However, if the Cowboys stumble, and they could stumble, they got Minnesota this week. The Cowboys could stumble. I don't see that happening. I don't see the Cowboys stumbling. I think the Eagles kind of shot themselves in the foot early on this season, but they will be a wild card team. And then once you're in the tournament,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. It's 0-0.
Monday Night Football, Russell Wilson takes on that 49ers defense. He has 22 touchdowns, only 1 pick. Clear-cut favorite for the MVP right now, but their defense can't stop anybody.
Yeah.
They've only won all their games by a total of 18 points differential.
Yeah.
What do you think about that Monday Night Football game? Are we going to learn more about the Niners or the Seahawks?
Man, the Niners are for real. 100%. But Russell Wilson is the MVP. There's
Okay.
no other MVP. Russell Wilson's the MVP.
Jacoby Brissett, possibly.
No, Russell Wilson's the MVP.
Some people are saying
A
Patricia.
lot,
Seattle
of
homer.
guys will get an honorable mention, but Russell Wilson's the MVP. This is what I've been told about the Seahawks defense. They haven't all been on the field at the same time.
Not healthy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, putting it all together. So, like, Ziggy Ansah on the field the same time as Clowney. Like, stuff like that. They're young in the secondary. I know this about Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll, there's a stat to back this up, too. Pete Carroll's record the second half of the season is the best since he's been there with Russell Wilson, is better than any team in the NFC.
Huh.
So, like, Pete Carroll is not afraid of playing young players early. Not afraid of playing guys that weren't drafted. Not afraid of playing guys that don't have the best contract.
By the way, he did that with Russell Wilson.
Does that with every position, especially in the secondary. And he is not afraid to take his lumps early with the hope that they're playing their best football once the playoffs come.
Gotcha.
And that's what they believe in. They believe that the second half of the season, their defense is going to show up. And it has not shown up, just like you said.
Yeah.
But if they can get those front guys all on the field at the same time, they believe that young secondary, they can improve on tackling, coverage. But they've been awful so far. They haven't lived up to what they, the standard that they've set there.
And they've been able to – the Niners run the ball well. And if Jimmy G can get hot, that could be a problem for the Seahawks. We got to wrap this show up, 11:54 here on this Thursday, November 7th. Would you like to give me a little bit more comfort and confidence in my Chargers bet this evening, or are you staying
Yeah,
with the
let me
Raiders?
say this. We got Melvin Gordon, came back after the holdout.
Okay.
First 4 games are kind of like the preseason. They limit his touches. I think they they take the training wheels off. He's at regular season form, so Melvin Gordon, you'll get the real deal here on out.
You heard it. Hasselbeck said hammer the Chargers tonight. That sucks for Raider Nation. Although Derek Carr is playing very well. For myself, Nick, Mr. Hasselbeck, Joey Genius, Zito and his fun facts, Foxy, and Ty Schmidt. We can't thank you enough for watching and listening wherever you may be. Not a lot of people watch and listen to this show, but we're growing and going. It's magical. Matt, you're the best. Ladies and gentlemen, have the best Thursday of your life. We'll be on ESPN tonight. You've been listening to the Pat McAfee Show.
The air conditioning works in here now. Wow.
Thank you, Don.